Hello everyone. Back again with film recaps. In this video, I'm going to recap one of the thriller romance films from 2014, titled The One I Love. Before we get to the storyline, I'd like to wish everyone a happy and great day. Without further ado, let's get straight to the storyline. The movie opens with a married couple, Ethan and Sophie, narrating the first time they met. It was at a party where they immediately hit it off, and they went to a stranger's pool to have some fun, but the owner came out screaming at them. It ended up being the best night of their lives. So, on this anniversary, the couple attempted to recreate that moment. But no one came out this time, leaving them disappointed and unbearably sad. In the present, they are telling all of this to a couples therapist. As it turns out, their marriage has been strained over time. We also learn that Ethan has done something unforgivable in their relationship, and Sophie is struggling to forgive him. Ethan claims that he has apologized endlessly, but Sophie is unsure if she can ever trust him again. The couple continues arguing throughout the session, and when the therapist realizes that they're making no progress, he pulls out a brochure for a vacation cabin. He suggests they spend a weekend there to start fresh. He claims he's sent many couples there, and each of them returned renewed. Upon hearing this, the couple agrees, as they're desperate to repair their strained relationship. In the next scene, they arrive at the destination, a remote place far away from the city. It's a beautiful setting with an excellent view, a pool, and a spacious courtyard. While exploring the place, Ethan comes across a guest house where he finds an iPad, which has several testimonies from previous couples, each claiming the place helped them renew their love. The couple then shares a romantic dinner, where Ethan tells his wife about the guest house he visited. After dinner, he starts washing the dishes, while Sophie heads to explore the guest house. She is checking out the place with curiosity when Ethan appears out of nowhere. He is suddenly affectionate, and tells her that they should try new things. Sophie is captivated by his sudden change, and they end up making love. Once they're done, the couple plays some games and laughs for a while. Ethan then asks Sophie if she wants to sleep in the guest house, and she agrees, but says she needs to change her clothes first. Up next, Sophie returns to the main house, but finds her husband sound asleep on the couch. She assumes it's a joke, and asks how quickly he returned to the house. Ethan, still groggy, doesn't understand what she's talking about, and asks why she's so sweaty. This infuriates Sophie, and she angrily reveals that they just made love in the guest house. But to her horror, Ethan doesn't remember any of it, triggering a heated argument between them. After Sophie storms off to the bedroom, a confused Ethan heads to the guest house, and notices wine glasses left behind, but finds no one there. This leaves him confused, and when he falls asleep, he's joined by Sophie, who softly tells him that she loves him. The next morning, when Ethan wakes up, he notices Sophie in a surprisingly good mood and making breakfast. He asks her what actually happened last night, but she refuses to talk about it. Her avoidance strikes him as odd, but what confuses him even more is that Sophie has made bacon, something she absolutely hates. Sometime later, Ethan returns to the main house, where he's bewildered to find Sophie in different clothes, and still bitter. Realizing something is wrong, he takes her to the guest house. But there's no one inside, and no sign of any bacon. An annoyed Sophie thinks he's joking and storms out. Ethan tries to explain that they're caught in some sort of Twilight Zone shit, with doppelgangers of each other. He also recounts how Sophie had come to him last night and they had snuggled together. However, she doesn't believe him, and reveals that she was at the main house the entire time. Next, Ethan asks Sophie to stay still while he heads into the guest house. But he's left frozen in shock as he sees a fake version of Sophie showering and greeting him casually. Horrified, Ethan urges his wife to go inside alone. And so, she steps in, only to be met by the fake version of Ethan, calmly exercising. He acts exactly like her husband, leaving her stunned and unable to comprehend what's happening. Shortly after, Sophie comes out, and frantically explains to her husband how she saw his doppelganger. The couple is spooked by the bizarre situation and immediately leaves the house. They soon stop at a restaurant, where they discuss the strange events. Ethan assumes maybe the guest house is in another dimension, another plane of existence, or maybe a cosmic creature is at play. He suggests that the only thing they can do is go back home and move on from this surreal experience. But Sophie unexpectedly suggests they should go back and explore further. She claims that last night was the happiest she had been in a long time. Although Ethan is a bit annoyed by this, he agrees to go back for the sake of his wife. Later, the two realize that it only works if they enter the house alone, and decide to take turns, even though Ethan is a bit jealous to think about his wife sleeping with the other him. Next, Ethan goes in first, and he immediately notices the freaking bacon again, sending a chill down his spine. Soon, the fake Sophie appears, and greets him with affection. After an awkward brief chat, Ethan purposely asks if she wants to go for a walk with him outside. The woman casually claims she's not in the mood, and urges him to go alone. Following this, Ethan exits the guest house, and explains the bizarre experience to his wife. He then insists they establish a couple of ground rules for this twisted situation. There would be no intimacy, especially no lovemaking with their copies. Sophie adds that there would be no spying, only trust and complete honesty about whatever happens. Ethan also declares that if either of them wants to stop at any point, they both must walk away without hesitation. Next, it is Sophie's turn to enter the guest house, and Ethan urges her not to take more than 15 minutes. Upon entering, she notices the fake Ethan painting her portrait, which impresses her. They begin chatting, and we notice that he's charming, and makes her laugh with ease. Meanwhile, the real Ethan realizes it's been more than 15 minutes, and Sophie still hasn't come out, which worries him. He thus heads to the front door, but it's locked. Ethan peeks through the window and sees Sophie being massaged by his fake version. She also notices him, prompting Ethan to back away in panic. Later, an annoyed Sophie gets out and accuses him of spying on her. Ethan reminds her that she had gone over time, and they weren't supposed to be doing anything intimate. She brushes it off as just a casual massage, then starts praising the fake Ethan on how sweet and funny he was. This fills the poor guy with jealousy. Later, the couple goes to bed, when Ethan says that he would like to use his turn at the guest house. Sophie agrees, and when Ethan gets there, he turns on his phone's recorder and hides it there. He wants to know exactly what Sophie is talking about with his fake version that makes her so happy. The next day, we see Sophie spending amazing time with fake Ethan, while the real one waits outside, burning with jealousy. After she finally exits the house, he rushes inside and looks for his phone, but it's gone. But then, the fake Sophie appears, and calmly says that she found his phone. A relieved Ethan then rushes out of the house to play the audio. But to his disappointment, all he hears is distorted static sound. Later that night, Ethan notices Sophie getting a text from someone, which makes her laugh and blush. She casually reveals it's from the fake version of him. Ethan is shocked to realize that they not only exist, but now have cell phones as well. The next day, Sophie returns to spend time with fake Ethan, and she asks why he cheated on her, something which her husband had done in the past. The man admits he did a terrible thing and has no excuse for it. She had every right to walk away, but she didn't, and that means everything to him. He promises he'll keep fighting, and do anything to mend their broken marriage. These words deeply move Sophie, and she kisses him without hesitation. Upon returning to the main house, Sophie doesn't tell her husband what happened. Later, Ethan listens to several voicemails from his friends and relatives, leaving him shocked. It turns out that fake Ethan had called them, asking personal questions about him, where he lived, and his past situations. Worried, he immediately goes to Sophie, and explains what happened. He believes that fake Ethan used his phone to make those calls, but Sophie doesn't believe him. Disappointed, Ethan changes the subject, asking if she wants to come with him to the grocery store, but she refuses, leaving him feeling even more distant. Next, Ethan leaves the house, but after driving only a short distance, he hides his car and returns home. He rushes to the guest house and plans to pretend to be the fake Ethan. He enters the house just a second before Sophie enters the guest house too. Here Sophie confesses that she can't forget what happened between them last time. Ethan is confused, but pretends to go along with whatever she says. One thing leads to another, and they end up passionately making love. Sometime later, Ethan visits the guest house alone, where fake Sophie tries to please him as usual. But an annoyed Ethan abruptly tells her that she's not real, and even she knows it. He demands to know who these doppelgangers are, and claims that he doesn't want to lose his wife over this weekend. In response, fake Sophie cryptically replies that it's not just this weekend and, as his wife, she knows these things. The next day, Sophie is making out with fake Ethan, when the real one arrives outside and starts banging on the door. This leaves her with no choice, but to open the door. Ethan storms inside and searches for his doppelganger, but he has suddenly disappeared. Meanwhile, an annoyed Sophie leaves the guest house, while Ethan desperately tries to explain that she's living a blatant lie, and none of this is real. But Sophie shouts that she doesn't care anymore, she's happy with fake Ethan, and has no intention of leaving this place, which leaves her husband in shock. Ethan and Sophie storm into the main house, only to be shocked by the sight of their doppelgangers already there. Here, the four of them sit down, and the copies casually remark that everyone should get to know each other better. Sophie is happy to see them, which enrages Ethan even further. Ethan demands to know why they're pretending to be someone else, but the fake Ethan calmly responds that he's just as real as the original Ethan.
Ethan, I'm sitting here. You're looking at me sitting here. I'm real. You're sitting across from me, right?
Later that night, the four of them sit down for dinner together, even though Ethan feels irritated that they don't want to explain what the hell is happening right now. Afterward, they decide to play cards. As the game goes on, it becomes clear that fake Ethan and real Sophie have grown very close, much to the irritation of their partners. Tensions boil over when a fed-up Ethan finally calls out his fake version, accusing him of being a liar and a cheater. The fake Ethan also doesn't back down, and reveals that Ethan himself is a good liar. He exposes that Ethan had only pretended to go to the grocery store the day before, and had snuck into the guest house to sleep with the real Sophie. This revelation leaves her heartbroken, so she cries and demands her husband to get out. Dejected, Ethan storms out of the main house and leaves an angry voicemail for the therapist. Inside the guest house, he finds a studio system and a computer in one of the rooms, where there are folders labeled with the names of other couples who've stayed there. He opens one of the files, and is shocked to hear the audio recordings of their therapy sessions. Freaked out, Ethan searches for his and Sophie's file, and finds some recordings there as well. But to his shock, these aren't recordings of their therapy sessions, they're audio clips of a couple practicing to sound like them.
I am Ethan.
I am Sophie.
I am Ethan.
What the hell is that?
Ethan then checks the iPad with the guest reviews, and is stunned to find a picture of him and Sophie, smiling and leaving a glowing review, but Ethan claims he never took those pictures. The scared Ethan tries to leave, but the front door is now mysteriously locked. Panic sets in as he tries every method to force it open, but nothing works. He screams desperately for Sophie, but she doesn't hear him. She's too busy laughing and enjoying herself with the fake Ethan. The next morning, Ethan is visited by the fake Sophie, who is clearly panicked. She reveals that something has gone terribly wrong. The real Sophie and fake Ethan have fallen in love, which was never part of the plan. She finally discloses that the original couple were meant to fall out of love, so the doppelgangers could take their places and finally leave the house. Once the real couple breaks apart, the copies are free to leave, while the originals become trapped here, until the next couple shows up. Fake Sophie also confesses that the more the real couple drifts apart, the stronger the doppelgangers become. That's why the doppelgangers were initially unable to leave the guest house, but they can now roam freely around the property. Ethan is terrified to hear this, while the fake Sophie reveals that she loves her husband and doesn't want to lose him. She says she would rather be trapped in this guest house with him than watch him leave with another woman. Moreover, she claims that only 2 people can leave the place, and begs Ethan to get out with his wife before it's too late. Elsewhere, real Sophie and fake Ethan are getting ready to go on a hike. Suddenly, fake Sophie appears, and claims she doesn't have any clothes for the hike. The real Sophie offers her the spare clothes and leads her upstairs. After receiving the clothes, fake Sophie asks for a toothbrush as well. Sophie goes to the bathroom to get it, but she finds her husband there, who wants to discuss something important. Meanwhile, fake Sophie, now dressed like the real one, meets up with fake Ethan, pretending to be her. On the other hand, real Ethan reveals everything, and how this entire trip was a pre-planned scheme to trap them there, but the smart woman finds this theory utterly ridiculous. Meanwhile, fake Sophie tells fake Ethan that she no longer wants to stay with her husband, and has decided to leave with him. The fake Ethan claims that he feels the same way, before kissing her. This breaks the poor wife's heart, and the fake Ethan realizes she's not Sophie. He panics and calls for the real Sophie. As he arrives upstairs, the real Ethan locks the bathroom door. Here he desperately claims that he knows his fake version might be everything Sophie desires, but he loves her with all his heart, and can't bear the thought of losing her. He also apologizes for his past mistakes, wanting nothing more than to start fresh. Sophie is moved by his words, but fake Ethan finally breaks through the door. He tries to convince Sophie to leave with him, but the real Ethan intervenes. This leads to a clumsy and awkward struggle between the two men, but it doesn't last long. Afterward, fake Ethan urges Sophie to come with him, but she hesitates, and unexpectedly chooses to be with her husband. This enrages fake Ethan, and he runs away from there, hoping he can at least break free. Real Ethan chases after him, while the two women follow, unsure of what's going to happen. And then suddenly, fake Ethan crashes into an invisible force field and falls unconscious. The other three stand in shock, and realize it is because only a couple can exit at a time. Following this, Ethan decides that they should leave, but notices the two women dressed similarly. One is visibly upset at fake Ethan's state, while the other smiles slyly. Ethan believes his wife is the one smiling, so he grabs her and leaves. As they drive away, they notice the other Sophie checking on the unconscious man and looking distressed. In the next scene, the couple returns to the city and heads to the therapist's office, hoping for answers. But when they arrive, the office is completely cleaned out, and the therapist is gone without a trace. In the final scene, some time has passed, and things seem to be going well between Ethan and Sophie. They're seen enjoying each other in bed. Later, Sophie heads to the kitchen. Ethan then asks what's for breakfast, and she responds, bacon. It is at this point that Ethan has a horrifying realization that this is not his wife, and he grabbed the wrong woman. He reflects on the weight of his actions. But in the end, Ethan decides to embrace this new reality, and joins fake Sophie in the kitchen. Okay guys, thanks for watching. See you again in the next video.